Doug. Football Trash Talk for Real Fans, episode 5. I'm going to try to tell
5 of these already. 5 of them.
5.
5.
The Cinco.
Better watch out. We might get to 10 here sooner or later.
We might. So we decided last week we were going to talk about the AFC West and the NFC West. And I think it's interesting that, we chose those two divisions, and there might be a little shakeup. I mean, I just want to jump right in with Seattle, and Russell Wilson saying he's fine in Seattle, but he's got a 14 list.
Yeah, I've been curious about that, because I've been trying, how did this all start with Russell Wilson? That's something I'm glad we arbitrarily picked him last week, because following it this week, he comes out this list, and I can't what's the catalyst for this? Why are we talking about trading Russell Wilson? Did I miss something? Where'd this come from?
I have no idea where it came from, right? I think we were offline talking about the cap. So it'd be interesting to see where their cap space is. That's number one. Cause he's got a big contract. Number two, he came out with that piece where he was talking about, I'm getting hit a lot, and he is. I didn't realize how much he was getting hit, right? I always assumed Russell was one of those quarterbacks that's got the escapability. He has perfected that extra yard or two along the sideline with reaching forward. He knows when to slide, so he's not getting hit a whole lot. He slides it's the prettiest slide in football, if you ask me. But he came out with that, and then all of a sudden they started talking about trading Russell Wilson. Why though? He's legitimately in the top 5, if not top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Right.
Right. It's arguable if you want to go in the top 3, but definitely top 5. And he's got some weapons now. He's never really had a ton of wide receivers to throw to, but Lockett is quietly overshadowed and overlooked consistently. And DK is DK. He's Megatron. I don't want to say Megatron 2.0, but he's that type of dude.
Right. Big, yeah, he definitely,
strong,
give him a couple more years, but yeah.
So it's crazy to me that they're actually having this discussion.
Yeah, well, and if other than, well, and see, I guess that the teams that he wants to go to, I don't see how that's an improvement. You go to, okay, so he said what? He said the Bears, he said the Saints. Did he say the Cowboys? He said the Cowboys.
He did say the Cowboys.
I guess out of all those teams, even though it probably wouldn't happen just because they're AFC as well, but I feel like the Raiders, if I'm Russell Wilson, the Raiders are probably the best team out of that. They have a decent amount of weapons on offense. They have a good, I want to say, should really have brought up offensive lines, but I want to say they have one of the better offensive lines. Let's see. Offensive line ranks. I'm pretty sure they have one of the better lines in the league. Browns, Packers, Rams, Patriots. Okay, I guess the Saints actually have a top 10 rated line, so I guess that makes a little sense. But they're in salary cap out. See, the thing is, okay. So based on offensive line rankings, right? The only team that he mentioned that has a better offensive line ranking than his is the Saints. The Seahawks are 14th. We're rated 14th by the end of the year. Now, how much of that is him versus the actual line? I don't know, but they were ranked 14th at the I'm looking at profootballfocus.com, and they have Seattle at 14, and that's way better than the Bears are at 20.
Saints are at 8.
Saints are 8. Yeah, the Cowboys were 27. And who are the other team? They're Saints. So, yeah. So, of those teams, the Seahawks have a better line. So, I don't understand those specific teams, but maybe it's more sentimental. But I don't understand where this came from. I don't know why it's being talked about. You spend your whole coaches spend their entire NFL careers looking for a quarterback like Russell Wilson. So why you would entertain giving him up for when he doesn't seem to necessarily when he's not demanding his way out, I don't understand.
And what does that do to, like, let's just play it out. Like, let's say they do trade him. Seattle's no longer in the picture as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
You know, they're just not.
I feel like they have enough weapons that whoever they plug in there, they'll probably do something like 7-9, 8-8. But yeah, I mean, that's a tough division to begin with. So yeah, I don't see how they compete in that division going forward, especially with obviously the Rams have upgraded. You know, San Francisco, you know, Garoppolo is the other one, not to completely derail what we're talking about, but Garoppolo, I don't know, like the dude is literally one missed pass in the Super Bowl away from a completely different outlook. Because here's the thing about Garoppolo, like he takes a lot of crap, but the 49ers suck without him. Like he goes down and that team goes immediately into the tank. Like, again, I'm not saying Garoppolo's like the greatest quarterback ever, but I think he's getting short sold a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's 24-8 as a starter.
Right. And like I said, he's one overthrown pass from winning a Super Bowl. Like, I get it. The pass was badly overthrown, but again, it's one pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many quarterbacks do we think reliably hit that pass? You know what I'm saying? Like, quarterbacks miss stuff like that all the time. So it's not like, so I don't know. Like, I want to say the 49ers, when he doesn't play, they have a losing record, like horribly. So I just don't understand why he gets so much crap. Like, unless they don't think he's worth his contract because he's injured. I get the best availability, or the best ability is availability, but other than being injured, like I said, they have a well above 500 record with him, and he's one missed pass away from a Super Bowl championship, and his whole projection is different. Like, if he hits that pass 2 years ago, we're not talking about trading him now or wanting to upgrade from him now, you know?
They're talking about getting rid of him though.
Yeah.
And where's he going to go? You know,
I mean, he's been linked to New England. Someone will take him. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the market for Garoppolo would be like. I mean, I guess I would classify him as like a Teddy Bridgewater type. Like, he's in that would be a contemporary of his, I guess, like solid, but not, you know, you're not like, yeah, we have the best quarterback in the league, but you don't look at your off. You don't think he hinders your offense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know what you do with Garoppolo if the Niners keep him. I mean, obviously, I think New England would be a place because, you know, Belichick really liked him. I
think it comes back to durability for him, and I think, you know, taking away the year that he got traded in the middle of the year and he finished out the season with San Fran. So then you got the 18, 19, and 20 seasons. He's only had one complete season.
That's true.
You know, so
he got injured like 5 games into the next season or something like that, right? Or with
3
5 games left, something like that.
3 games.
Yeah.
But then he came back from that injury and went 13-3, 70% completion percentage, and almost 4,000 yards. And I don't think they had many receivers like outstanding receivers in 2019. Right. They had Kittle, but
Emmanuel Sanders would probably be their best one that I can think of. Yeah. Who's no slouch, but yeah, you're not building your team around Emmanuel Sanders. God, he's been on a bunch of different teams, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
He started with the Steelers, didn't he?
The Broncos.
Steelers, Broncos, Niners, and now he's on the Saints. And I want to say there's another team in there, but yeah, it's just, here's what I never understand about quarterbacks. Like, when you have these quarterbacks, like, why don't teams build around their quarterback skill set? That's like Major League Baseball will build their ballparks based around the best place for their current stars to hit home runs, regardless of what their team's going to look like 20 years from now, right? Like, why do these teams insist on drafting quarterbacks and then molding the quarterback to their system instead of either A, drafting a quarterback that fits their system, or B, drafting a quarterback and then molding your system to the quarterback? That, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, that's why so many teams stayed away from Lamar Jackson, because he wasn't a traditional pocket passer. But then he goes to the Ravens and they mold their offense around his skill set, and they're I don't know if they're necessarily Super Bowl contenders every year, but they're definitely like a threat to win the AFC North and get a home game in the playoffs. Like that's what I don't understand. Like I don't understand why you draft, especially if you're going to spend like a second or third round draft pick, or I'm sorry, a top 5 draft pick on a quarterback. Why are you then not getting a line to protect him and designing your offense around what that quarterback does? I'll never understand that.
And I'll bring that back to the AFC West, or the NFC West rather. Arizona with Kyler Murray, they're doing exactly that. Their offense from a quarterback standpoint is built around his skill set, and it's so far it's working. They also there's Atticus. They have with the Knicks stuff on, of course.
Good morning, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yeah, the value of this podcast just went down. Just our stock.
When we're talking football and you got a Knicks hat and jacket on, it's kind of.
Hey, it's funny. It's not that often with 30 games in the back seat that I can feel good about my team. So here I am, and all my glory at 500 in 4th place in the East, might I add.
I mean, that's a reflection on the East more than it is the greatness of the Knicks, but I digress. Well, yeah, it's funny on the way here from the restaurant. My roommate and I went out for brunch before the podcast. On the way back, he's like, "Oh, you guys should talk about Johnny Damon like getting arrested and his wife like punching a cop or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, we try to keep it around football." And he's like, "Don't you have that one guy that talks about the Knicks all the time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fair."
Infamous. He's infamous.
That guy that talks. That's what you are now. You're the guy in the football podcast that talks about the Knicks. How do you feel?
That's right. I feel good.
He's like, no shame in the game. I don't care.
None whatsoever.
So we were actually just talking about. So we're talking about we're on the NFC West right now, and we're talking about why suddenly we're talking about trading Russell Wilson, and B, we kind of segued into what you would do if you had Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So your thoughts on Jimmy Garoppolo? We'll go from there.
My thoughts on Jimmy G are that he is very overrated. He's a good game manager, but if you're looking for him to bring you to the promised land, you may want to rethink that strategy. I don't know that they have any better options right now, but we'll see what happens in free agency. And I mean, this free agency has been wild so far. I mean, with some of the different moves at the quarterback position. And you segued into where you talked about Russell Wilson. I don't know how much of that is media red meat, or how much of it is, what's really going on. I mean, they need something to talk about. So you take a snippet from this and a snippet from that, extrapolate it into what you think is happening. But if it's true and Russell Wilson is looking to get out of Seattle, and I think where there's smoke, there's fire. There's some truth to it, I'm sure. I think I read somewhere yesterday that they're talking about maybe even swap with Dak Prescott for Russell Wilson in Dallas. I don't think that Dallas would want to make that trade, and that might be unpopular, but I don't think that they would want to do that. I think they really like Dak Prescott. I think that they did him dirty and now feel like maybe they need to really own up to the fact that they saw how badly their team struggled without him. But where would that leave Seattle in the NFC West? Who's their backup? Isn't it Geno Smith is their backup out there? If I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I can look really quick. Hold on one second. Seahawks. I got the come on, just tell me there we go. It's not gonna tell me, it's not gonna make this easy.
What do you guys think about Jimmy G?
Well,
Well,
I was
I mean,
saying,
Chris brought up that he was one pass away from winning the Super Bowl, right? Like that's real. That happened, you know. Uh, I think he's injury prone, right? Like in the 3 years he's been in San Fran, he's only had one complete season. Injury prone might be a stretch because I backed Carson up and he was in the same world, right? But he played 3 games his first full season in San Fran, and he only played 6 his past season. But the year that he did play 16 games, they were 13-3, 70% completion percentage, 4,000 yards, and one pass away from winning the Super Bowl. So, I mean, he's whether it's game manager type play or not is debatable, but like they were in the Super Bowl. Like
He doesn't remind you of like an Alex Smith. Not to take anything away from Alex Smith or add to him, but he doesn't remind you of the same type of gameplay, a lot of dink and dunks down the field, very safe short passes, which is going to give you a high percentage of throws. And if you got athletic people, receivers and backs and that are catching the ball, it's going to really skew your number, because when if you take a look at the statistics on yards per pass where they caught it and then the yak yards, you'd see that the yak yards are what got him those 4,000 yards.
well, that's the same thing Drew Brees has been doing though. I mean, that's Drew Brees. That's Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Drew Brees
but Drew Brees can also throw that ball down the field very well.
Can he though?
I think he can.
I feel like I can't remember the last time I saw Drew Brees throw like a 15-yard in the air completion. Their whole offense like his whole offense in college was dink and dunk, and their whole offense in St. Louis, or I'm sorry, New Orleans has been crossing routes to Thomas. Like that's
for
that's why they
80,000 yards though.
Right, but I mean,
know that.
I find it hard to believe he can't throw the deep ball throwing for 80,000 yards.
Well, not just 80,000
yeah, but I mean,
yards.
on Drew Brees. Yeah, I mean, but that go ahead.
Drew Brees is in a completely different league than Jimmy G. I don't even feel comfortable having a conversation comparing Jimmy G and Drew Brees and Alex Smith. Alex Smith, I always thought was underrated, to be honest with you.
I thought
that he never got the credit that he deserved, but he just wasn't surrounded with enough talent and perhaps even the right play calling in his career. So
just for fun,
I don't know.
Just for fun, really quick. Drew Brees has completed only one pass that has traveled more than 35 air yards beyond the line of scrimmage since 2017.
It's probably why he's retiring now.
Right, but that's
maybe later in his career, that's what was his reality, and that I would attribute that to good coaching. If you know that that's something that maybe he doesn't need to do because of all the talent that's around him, why do it?
Let's see. I'm trying to find if there's like a more comprehensive stat, but still, that means the last 4 seasons he played, he threw one pass over 35 yards. So I mean, I'm not trying to say like Drew. I'm not even saying Jimmy G's on the same. Like I'm not trying to say that they're equal. But what I am saying is like
the apples to the apples of their game.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need why am I blanking on his name? Mahomes. You don't need Patrick Mahomes on your team to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, Trent Dilfer's won a Super Bowl. I don't think we're going to say he was rocket arm Dilfer.
Why would you bring up Trent Dilfer? You know who he won that Super Bowl against, right? Was that a subtle dig?
I mean, he did it for the Ravens. So, I mean, if it makes you feel better, I was actually pulling for the Giants in that Super Bowl because it was the Ravens. So, yeah. Yeah, no,
who they beat?
I don't remember. I'm drawing a blank.
I mean, that's kind of embarrassing, to be honest.
So fun little side story about that. So me and my friends, so we all were pulling for the Giants because we were all, Browns fans, that just watched the Browns move and now they're the Ravens. And so we had all just made like Giants t-shirts. And my friend had made like a Kerry Collins t-shirt because he was the quarterback at the time. And I want to say there was a play in the first quarter where Kerry Collins, it was like 3rd and 5, and Kerry Collins like ran like 2 yards and then slid, and there was like no one really around him. My friend he's like, you don't slide in the Super Bowl, and he like Hulk Hogan style rips the t-shirt. That's my rooting for the Giants story. So there you go.
Wow.
Go blue.
And that's about how that game went too. It was horrible. I believe we were heavy favorites going in. The Giants were heavy favorites going into the game, partly because of Trent Dilfer being the starting quarterback, but they were clicking on every other cylinder necessary. Trent Dilfer didn't even have to do anything but hand the ball off and dink and dunk his way to a championship.
Yeah, I want to say he had 1 touchdown pass, if I remember correctly, because I remember specifically.
No, it was Shannon Sharp. It was a 5-yard pass to Shannon Sharp, who ran like 80 yards.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Proof that Jimmy G can be a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. So what about Russell Wilson? Is there any truth to this, or what? Did you guys talk about that or no?
Well, we talked a little bit about, he's mentioned 4 teams: Dallas, New Orleans, the Bears, which is mind blowing to me, and the Raiders, right? And then we talked about, well, could it be offensive lines? And no, it can't be, because Seattle has a better offensive line than most of those teams, right?
Yeah, they have according to Pro Football Focus, they had the 14th best line. So the only team he said he would go to that has a better line would be I can't remember now. Oh, the Saints. The Saints are the only team that has a better line rating than his current line. And I have no idea, and the thing is, it just ranks them. So I have no idea how much better the 8th best offensive line is over the 14th. You know what I'm saying? There's no degree to it. It just has them ranked. One last little stat about Brees and Garoppolo. I just because it's funny because it says it right here on the page. Let's see. So when was this? This article was written in 2019. So last year, so this would be 2018. Drew Brees' percent of balls. Okay, I'm sorry. For his career, 10.8% of Brees throws have been to targets deeper than 20 yards downfield. Last year, so 2018, that fell to 8.2%, the lowest mark of his career and second lowest among starting quarterbacks. Only Jimmy Garoppolo was lower. So, so there you go. So it's they're getting compared on these things. Yeah, their offense for a long time has been, hit Michael Thomas on a slant and hope he gets 40 yards. That's been their offense. But anyway, go back to Russell Wilson. Sorry, I was just reading this as we were talking.
That kind of confirms what I was saying now. But yeah, I mean, and it validates why you brought Drew Brees up also. But yeah, I don't know. I doubt that Russell Wilson. I'm sorry. The Raiders. I think the Raiders are pretty comfortable with Derek Carr at this point. I think that takes them off the board if that's if these reports are even real. The Bears, they're searching. They're hoping to land a good quarterback. I mean, while I don't think it's realistic for him to go there, I could see the Bears definitely making a big push for him. Not that bullshit that they did with Carson Wentz trying to lure him over there. I'm talking about a legitimate package that they would put together for him.
What does he take though? What's the haul for Russell Wilson?
Well, doesn't Russell Wilson still have $38 million in guaranteed money coming up next year, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, so of course they're going to have to. I don't know what they're going to give up for, to be honest with you. I think the more desperate the team, the better the package is going to be for Seattle. But then that begs the question, what is Seattle going to do moving forward? Who are they going to move on to? Do they have, if one of the components of the deal are draft pieces, what position are these teams in the draft for to make it attractive enough for them to probably find their next quarterback in the draft? Or are they going to be looking in the free agency as well? Who's out there that could be at least a replacement to keep you at 500 while you start the rebuild? Because that's what would be happening if you're giving him up.
Well, if
I
you
mean, there's a lot of things that needs to be
if you want to
considered.
rebuild though, why bother trying to stay at 800 or 500? Like, why do that? If I'm trying to
True.
rebuild, I want
Right.
to see what I got, and if I tank, great, because I get better draft picks next year. Like, I don't. I mean, if we're just
Yeah.
throwing out names, like if you trade it, like, well, first of all, what kind of package you would get? I'd expect it would be similar to what the Texans would expect to get for Watson. Maybe not as great, just because Wilson's like 12 years older.
Age.
No, 8 years older. I'm sorry, 7,
Yeah,
8 years
because
older
of
than
age.
Deshaun Watson. So I mean, that's like really the only difference between them as far as I'm concerned. So I mean, so yeah, a couple firsts.
Now, nobody throws a deep ball like Russell Wilson now.
What'd you say?
Nobody.
Nobody throws a deep ball like Russell Wilson now.
Oh yeah, no, totally fair. I'm just saying, like, you'd expect it in the same area. So a couple firsts, a couple seconds, and a starter at least. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know, dude. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff this year, and I know we're supposed to be focusing on the AFC, but like, I've seen, because I follow Cleveland pages, obviously. I've seen crazy stuff like trade Baker Mayfield to the Bears for Roquan Smith. Like, I've seen all kinds of bizarre things, and these are coming from like reporters. This isn't like some fan just making up a random ass trade. This is like stuff being reported on, and I'm going, why? What? Like, I don't understand. Like, yeah, linebackers in need, but it's so. I mean, the interesting thing, I think it's you brought up Carr and the Raiders being comfortable with Carr. They've actually been linked in both the Deshaun Watson deal. There was a deal where they're going to trade Carr to someone, get a couple first-round picks for him, and then package their first-round picks and those first-round picks to the Texans for Deshaun Watson. I've seen that, and then now they're being linked, although they don't really have anything to do with it. It's just who Russell Wilson is saying. That's they're being linked to Russell Wilson. The one thing I do wonder is when they say, like, the because I feel like the if you just ask the average person how good the Seattle line is, I don't think anyone would say middle of the pack, which is what Pro Football Focus has them ranked. Like I said, 14th. I wonder how much of that is Wilson can make a average line look better. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like the narrative has been that Seattle's got a crappy line. So
I don't even think they have a solid line.
What?
Listen, Russell Wilson ran for his life to start the season. It was awful. I don't think their line is as good as their ranked. I think that just what you said, Russell Wilson saved their line from giving up at least 5 or 6 additional backs, even some recent stuff, because of his escapability.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just think the whole situation is weird. And it's what Loy and I were talking about before he got on. Is it just seems like it came out of nowhere? Because, like, as far as I can tell, he hasn't asked for a trade. I think he did ask. I think I read something where he was asking for, like, more personnel decision type power. He wanted more say in who got drafted or something like that. But other than that, I haven't seen anything. Like, so that's why I don't understand where this came from. Yeah.
It's all hearsay.
Well,
at this point.
I started off with he brought out there was that article where he talked about wanting personnel input because he's been hit X amount of times in his career, which kind of blew me away because I've always, I mentioned this earlier, and you just mentioned the escapability that he's had. I've always pictured Russell as not taking that many hits, right? But like apparently he's taken a shit ton in his career, and he's over it. Right? Like he wants upfront help. And if Seattle's not going to do that, then I want to go somewhere that's going to.
Yeah, you want to prolong your career.
Yeah, I think the same could be said for any quarterback.
Yeah, but they're not all Russell Wilson.
Correct.
And get a say in that.
Which begs the question, why aren't they listening and doing something to help protect their franchise quarterback?
Well, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because it's funny you say that because before you logged on, we were talking about, like, why do teams draft quarterbacks and then try to fit them to their mold, as opposed to drafting a quarterback and then molding your team to that quarterback's skill set. Like, and that's never made sense to me. Like, we can see, obviously, drafting a quarterback, and then instead of trying to make him what you want, making your team that fits him works, because we can see it with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. It obviously can work. I'll never understand why you draft it. Like, why do you draft Joe Burrow and then put him behind one of the worst lines in the league and let him get killed? Why are you trying to kill this guy you just invested a top pick in? Like, it doesn't, that philosophy has never, ever made sense to me. Like, I feel like if you're drafting a quarterback, the first thing you do after you draft your quarterback is you then draft a line and nothing else. But I don't care if you spend the entire rest of the draft drafting linemen and just trying them all out and see what the best line you can put out there is. And then the next year you worry about drafting weapons and all that stuff. Like, I'll never understand. Like Herbert, like he's on there now. I don't know if they drafted Herbert thinking like, staying in the AFC or the West. I don't know if the Chargers drafted Herbert thinking he was going to be the answer that he turned out to be. I don't know if that's necessarily what they were thinking, but like, yeah, if they're not drafting linemen this year, like what are they doing? I don't understand what the mindset could be if you're not drafting a line. Like, fine, suck for another year. You're not trying to win the Super Bowl next year if you're the Chargers. Just draft a line. Get him protected so he's there 5 years from now when you're ready to make your push.
It's like Loy said last week, it starts and ends with both sides of the line. If you don't have a solid offensive line and defensive front, you're going to have problems.
You have to bless you. You have to be able to run the ball, which takes a solid offensive line, and you need to be able to get to the quarterback, which takes a solid defensive line. That's how you win Super Bowls. It's great to have OBJ and whoever, right? I'm not throwing a dig at Cleveland with OBJ, but it's great to have the flashy wide receiver, making a one-hand impossible catch on the sideline, getting mauled, but that's not winning Super Bowls, it's just not.
Yeah, like I said last week, receivers are icing on the cake. Receivers are you draft receivers when that's all you need. Like that's just the way it is. Yeah. Well, I know a pretty intelligent guy who constantly insists that the way to win the playoffs is you stop the run, you run the ball, and you win the turnover battle. So who's that guy again? I think he knows what he's talking about. Anyway, we'll continue. We'll let that one hang on the air.
Who's that guy? Is that you?
He's pretty smart, whoever he is. We should listen to him more.
Real humble too.
He should have a job in a back office or a front office. Yeah. Anyway, so skipping around, do you guys want to focus on the AFC or the NFC? We've been kind of in the NFC West. You want to?
Well, I mean, let's wrap up the NFC West, right? Like, I mean, if no one leaves, right? Like, I think the NFC West is going to be a dogfight, right? It was kind of a two-team race last year. With the Cardinals kind of on that precipice of joining the crowd, and San Fran was just annihilated by injuries on both sides of the ball. So, if rosters stay the same and quarterbacks stay the same, you have a really good division with Seattle, the Rams, Cardinals, and Niners, right? Who do you take? Who's leading the pack there?
I'd have to go. If I had to pick one right now without, before draft and everything else, just based on the roster as is, I say the Rams would be my pick to win that division, just because they arguably have the second best quarterback in the league, or in the conference rather. And they probably have the best overall run game. And I'd say they probably have the best defense, or at least the second best, depending on what you think of San Francisco's defense. I think they're the best all-around team in the division.
Which is going to be.
Oh, I think we just lost Atticus there.
We did.
Pardon us while we have technical difficulties. Please stand by. But no, I'll just finish my thought. Yeah, I just think if I was to pick assuming again, Russell's still there, Jimmy Garoppolo's still there, we see no major changes there. I would say you're going to see Rams, Seahawks, and then Niners and Cardinals duking it out for third. And not to say that they're going to be bad teams. I just think the Rams and the Seahawks are just a foot better than the other two teams right now.
See, I'm going to go a different way. And I think if the Niners are healthy, right? They run the ball really well, and they have a really good defense, typically, right?
You're on mute, Atticus. Yeah, no, they're good at running. That's the one thing about them is I don't know what they're like, because I feel like, because I know Richard Sherman's not there, depending on what you think of how much he added to the defense or not. But yeah, I mean, if they come back from injuries, even with Jimmy G though, I mean, like,
Even with Jimmy G, right?
okay.
And like I don't want to discount Seattle, right? Like Seattle was 12-4 last year without a offensive line essentially. They've always had a stellar defense. They could certainly run the ball, and they it's really to me a coin flip, of who's going to get the upper hand there, right? I think they have three solid teams with a young nephew in the waiting in the background, wanting to play with the older cousins.
Yeah, I think if you still have, if there's no change at the quarterback position in Seattle, you still have to look at them as either the favorite or the right behind, or being right behind the Rams as a toss up. I don't know how much. First of all, I'm not a Jimmy G believer. You guys know that. Secondly, their defense, we don't know what they're going to be next year because their defensive coordinator took the head coaching job with New York. So we don't know what scheme philosophy is going to be there. While you think they're going to continue to play well, we just don't know. So if I had to pick a favorite right now for the NFC West, based on current roster, no other changes being made, I'm going with the Rams. I just think they have more pieces.
Yeah.
And they got that beautiful new stadium. I'd love to see some fans in there and see what that, not that that has any bearing in it, but I think the Rams are going to be a good team next year.
Yeah. Yeah, they were my pick. You unfortunately got disconnected there, but they were my pick to probably win the AFC West, if assuming no other things, no major injuries and all that. So with that being said, let's wind it over to the AFC West, where you have the Chiefs obviously being the favorite there. But then you have some interesting things. You have some good things going on with the Chargers. They're obviously going to be up and coming. I feel like they found something in Herbert.
I like the Chargers.
The Raiders, they're just a conundrum. I don't
They're
know
mystery.
any other way. I feel like they should be better than they are. They win, they go and they win games. They look unbeatable for 2-3 weeks in a row, and then suddenly they lose 6 in a row, and you're like, what happened to them? I will say,
Knicks all of a sudden.
yeah, I will say, if there's any one team that I want to see in their stadium, it's the Raiders. That's like, if I was to say, hey, let's all take a pilgrimage to a stadium somewhere, we're going to Vegas and we're watching a Raiders game. So they got that going for them. But I feel like this division is obviously still the Chiefs. I mean, it's weird because you look at them, and I don't think anyone, like, the Chargers actually finished at 7-9, which is better than if you would have asked me, I thought they would have finished at. So that's good for them. The Raiders were 8-8, and then obviously you have the Chiefs at 14-2. The Broncos, they're still a couple years away. Like, their defense that they were known for is completely gone from where it was in their Super Bowl year a couple years back. Von Miller probably won't be on the team anymore for various reasons. So, I mean, I obviously this division's still the Chiefs to lose, right? Like, I don't think we see anyone. I could see maybe the Chargers or the Raiders making a step forward and being a wild card team, but I don't think we see anyone overtaking the Chiefs, right?
I think the Chiefs still have this year and possibly next year for their window, right? Depending on what they do in rebuilding or retooling their roster, right? Like, you can't hold on to that team with salary restrictions the way they are in the NFL. You just can't, and Mahomes eats up a large chunk of that. So, they still have this year, probably next year as well, before I start questioning whether it's their division or not anymore, right? Like, I think it's theirs. At least for this season coming up. I don't see the Chargers or the Raiders making any kind of that kind of jump forward to really challenge the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. when I look at the Chiefs, I try to come up with a reason why they won't continue to dominate that division, and I can't because of the X factor and Patrick Mahomes. Even with a porous defense, which they had last year, and at times they looked really good this year, but they weren't consistent enough, and that was easily demonstrated in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was still throwing pinpoint passes while being tackled and hurried and whatever. But so it is definitely their division to lose. The Raiders, I can't quite figure them out. Like Roman said, like they'll look like unbelievable, like Madden All Pro 1 week, or not just 1 week, 3 weeks in a row, and then they'll slide off the edge of a cliff like they have no idea how to play the game of football. But I tell you what, I'm very intrigued by the Chargers. I really like the flashes that we saw of what they can be. I don't like that they went in a new direction with the head coach. I thought that they should probably give him another year. You got a new quarterback. He showed you that he could play well in his system at different times. But I'm very intrigued about that team. I'd love to see what they're going to do moving forward. Bottom line is still the Chiefs division. I think the Raiders, as much as I can't figure out, they're going to show us who they really are next year. They're definitely not where they want to be, but I think they have a lot of good pieces if they could just put it together and be consistent with it. The Chargers, I really like who they are developing into. And notice I didn't speak much about the Broncos because there's really not much to say about the Broncos. Elway's got them in a really weird place out there in the mountains, and I don't know what you can say about them right now.
You know, the one telling stat about the Raiders, I was looking over their schedule. They went 3-4 against teams in the playoffs, but then turned around and pretty much walloped every team they should have walloped. So they went 3-4 against teams in the playoffs. Plus, and then they also lost to the Dolphins, who, if they were in the NFC, would have been a playoff team. So
Dolphins aren't bad.
Yeah, the Dolphins aren't bad at all. We'll get to them eventually, but yeah. So interesting fact when looking stuff up for the AFC West. Did you know since 1960, I called the AFC West the most competitive division. So their division titles among the 4 teams in the division since 1960, when the conference was founded, or the division was founded rather. Denver Broncos have 15, Las Vegas Raiders have 15, Los Angeles Chargers have 15, and the Kansas City Chiefs have 13.
Wow.
Yeah. So I feel like that's got to be like one of the most competitive divisions in the, overall over the course of time in the league. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. And you expect the Chiefs to win out the next couple of years at least. So they're like, the next few years, they're all going to be at 15 titles apiece. That's crazy.
Yeah. How about it?
And the AFC West, just for scheduling purposes, they're playing the NFC East and the AFC North this season coming up.
How fitting is that?
How fitting is that?
So they're in trouble because they got the Cleveland Browns on their schedule.
Yeah, they're in trouble because of that, right?
They're in trouble coming to the East, man.
Oh man, that's crazy. So what do we got next week? What divisions are we looking at?
Why don't we just move over one and we can do the see, I don't want to do the AFC North yet because I'll spend the entire time talking about the Browns. You want to do?
You'll spend that. It doesn't matter if we do it next week or 2 weeks.
Hey, I've done a good job I've managed to sneak the Browns in, but we've spent way more time talking about the Eagles than we've done talking about anything else. I don't want to hear it.
Well, we should spend an entire segment just talking about the Browns.
Oh, we could do it. I could bore you with Brown statistics.
I don't have a big enough bucket, bro.
They're one of the oldest teams in the league, man. They got a lot of history.
They do. We could do an entire. I could put a slideshow together. We could just go bananas if you guys want to go in on the Browns. I will say just really quick, bring it back to the AFC West. They do. If I was to buy any jersey now, I know last week I kind of threw the what jersey would you buy if you were to root for this?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But if I was to buy any jersey of any other team right now, it would be a LA Chargers Lamp jersey. I forget his first name, but he is on their offensive line. He was their draft pick like 2 years ago. I want to say he's their left. What?
You want the powder blue ones?
Oh yeah. Oh, of
Definitely,
course. You can't, yeah, a powder blue lamp jersey. That's
Okay, there
what
you
I
go.
want. I want to say he's their left tackle, but
Okay.
yeah, that's what I want. Just LAMP lamp all day. Anyway, so
On
yeah,
the
get back to the Browns.
Chargers?
You gotta get a powder blue. I feel like that's one of those uniforms you have to have.
Yeah, you got.
I have a powder blue with Danny and Tomlinson, and I love that thing. So,
LT.
yeah. Because I know Atticus gave me. I know I posted about this a while ago. Like I made a post talking about just what players on teams outside of your normal fandom do you have, and Atticus like lit me up like, of course you have like blah 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 and follow. And it's like, man, yeah, but I have a powder blue. Actually, all my stuff. I have a Ken Griffey Jr. Seattle Mariners jersey, and I have a
Nice.
powder blue LaDainian Tomlinson are my two outside my normal fandom jerseys.
And I know it's baseball, but I really I admire the Ken Griffey Jr. jersey.
Yeah.
Right,
Can't go wrong
like-
with that.
Man,
You
I
can't go
wish
wrong
that
with the
dude never
LT.
got hurt.
Man, getting traded to Cincinnati was like, and I remember there was huge excitement because I was living in Ohio. Now I'm an Indians fan, but I remember because when he got traded to the Reds, they had just barely missed the playoffs and they had still won like 90 something games. And there was all this excitement and just nothing ever came from that. And I felt so bad for Griffey because like he had one of those conversations where it was like, yeah, I'm not allowed to enjoy base. It's like they see me smiling in the dugout. And they're like, he just struck out last time. What's he smiling about? And it's just like, man, you can't give us Ohioans any expectations because we lose our crap if you come nowhere near it. Go Browns. Anyway.
I thought that was a Philly thing, first off. But anyway, it's nice to hear it happens in other places other than Philadelphia.
Philly's angry no matter what happens. What are you talking about?
Yeah, man,
Philly could go undefeated. They'd still like be pissed that like Wentz,
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong at all, man. Like I joined this new page on Facebook for the Eagles, and there's a lot of old pro football players that are actually on the page, and it gets ugly, man, because Philly fans don't give a fuck. I don't care who you are and who you played with, right? Like this Donovan McNabb conversation just went off the rails, man. It was terrible.
Yeah, no.
Damn.
Wentz could have led Philadelphia to 4 straight Super Bowls and undefeated seasons, and then they'd complain that he vacationed in New York City is what they would do. Like they would find something. They'd be like, wait, he won the Super Bowl and didn't go to Disney World? How un-American is Carson Wentz? He likes to quail hunt? What? Like they would find something because that's just what you guys do.
Yeah, no doubt.
If I were to take a Chargers jersey, just to bring it back to the West, like I like Herbert, man, and Atticus knows that because I was egging you on like that's the quarterback you needed in New York, man. He just didn't come out.
Yeah, that's who I wanted.
I know.
I
What
think
about
it's really, I'm saying, go ahead.
If he did come out, take him over Saquon?
Absolutely.
Coming out of college, not knowing what you know now, but coming out of college.
Yes, absolutely. I was big on Herbert last year. You know that.
Yeah.
I used to post his videos from his interviews when they would try to ask him, what are you going to do? Yeah, I really wanted the kid. I thought that I could see it in him. In fact, I followed him on Yahoo Sports just to see any type of news bite I could get to give an indication of what he was going to do. I wanted the kid. But back to the jersey that I would get, it's real hard to pass up an LT. He was such a force. I mean, Gates is a good one too, but LT was just transformational for that team, for that franchise. I really like the way that he played. And I like him as a person too.
Yeah. I think it's funny because out of all the teams in that division, I'd say over the last, like, at least in my lifetime, since I've been like consciously aware of football, I'd say the Chargers probably have had the least amount of success. Would that be fair to say? But I think like most people, if they were just to like in that division, were just to be forced to, I feel like you pull for the Chargers. Even it's funny because they have like no fan base now, but I feel like if I was to follow a team in that, the Chargers have always like, I don't know, maybe they need to go back to San Diego is what they need to do. Why they left San Diego, like I don't know.
It's a money thing.
Yeah,
It's a money thing. The market.
it's unfortunate. They just their whole team, it just fit being in San Diego. Like that whole thing just worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no love for the Broncos. Nothing. We don't expect anything of them.
No, man. I think Elway as a GM has been horrible. You know, I think if there's one worst, probably Howie, but you know, I might be jaded. But I don't think, you know, he's been trying real hard to put a quarterback in there and has been unsuccessful. And it's amazing to me that somebody that had his amount of talent and knowledge of that position can't find a quarterback.
You don't like Drew Lock, huh?
We'll see. I'm not impressed yet.
Well, you know, that brings up an interesting topic. Do you think, and we don't, I mean, if we don't want to go into this because it could get pretty lengthy, but like, do you think being a good, like at any position, like, do you think, you know, LT, just since we were talking about him, would be a good judge of running back? You get what I'm saying? Like, do you think being a player gives you an inside edge when it comes to being like, I think knowing how to do something or being really good at it doesn't necessarily mean you know how to judge it in other people. If you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying, right? But the quarterbacks is a different thing, right? Like a quarterback is typically a highly intelligent individual, right? And knowing that position and how to play it well and what's successful, you would think the eye test would be better. And maybe that's just my off-brand thinking, right? But like you would, not to say that LT's not an intelligent person, because to run the ball the way that he did and be able to have the vision on the field, you know, also takes intelligence. But like Elway's a pretty smart dude. He went to Stanford. You know what I mean?
Why does it seem that every time there's a player who's transitioned into coaching and has had a good deal of success, it's usually the player who wasn't the starter, but the backup?
yeah, because they spend more of their time maybe learning how to apply it. Because I feel like there's a different, like okay, like trying to think, who's a quarterback now? Like, okay, Matt Stafford can do the things Matt Stafford does because he's a tough dude and has a skill set. Do I think that necessarily means he could take it and teach it to someone else? No. You know, like Byron Leftwich, who he's the QB coach at Tampa, right? If I'm
Tampa
not
Bay.
Yeah. Like, not that I think he's necessarily teaching Brady anything, but like, I think, you know, Byron Leftwich, who wasn't necessarily as naturally gifted, so to speak, is say like, you know, a Matt Stafford or Deshaun Watson, where he had to fight for more. I think, you know, it opens him up to learning. Because I forget who said it, but there's someone, I think Colin Cowherd said something about there's a difference between coaching like a talent, like a Carson Wentz, who's just talented, you know, it's harder to coach them because they're just going to rely on their talent. And when you're someone like that, it's harder for you to go coach because you didn't necessarily learn how to, you were just talented and could do it. So it's not like learning the X and O's. You could just make it up and do it. And so I think there's that difference. Cause like, you know, same with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan hasn't done much for the Hornets, and, you know, people would tell me he's the GOAT. So that's another discussion for another podcast, but you know,
well, he is the GOAT. So let's just stop that guy right there.
Can't hit 3-pointers though. So anyway,
we covered that last week.
The point is, I think that when you're naturally talented, like, and I'll say the same thing, like LeBron James, I think if he was to go and try and be a coach, I think because he's just physically gifted, he is just a physically talented freak of nature, that there are things he can just take for granted that he doesn't necessarily know how to teach because he never had to learn it, because he can just do it because he's just bigger and faster. That's why I think Nash will be a great coach, because he was a small dude that had to learn. He had to study his craft, and when you study it, you learn how to teach it. So
and I know it's a different sport, right? But like when you talk about, like I make the comment about Elway, I think about two people. I think about Isaiah Thomas, who absolutely destroyed the New York Knicks, right? And like you're just coming out of that now, Atticus. All bullshit aside, right? Like he decimated that team, so he sucked, right? And he was a pretty good ball player. And then you have Larry Bird, right? Larry Bird was actually a decent coach, or was it the talent that he had for Indiana? I don't know. You know, I
He was
can't.
the GM too, wasn't he? Didn't he end up being the GM of the Pacers as well?
I think so.
The
Yeah.
president. Yeah.
And he did fairly well. But he's the only one I can think of that
He
has.
was a unicorn, though. I mean, if you look at the barrel, you got one out of maybe a dozen others who were backups. So I don't think that Elway is the answer. And when Denver finally figures that out, they'll put somebody in there who knows what they're doing. But we didn't get your jersey pick either, Mike. You started talking about Denver, but didn't pick your jersey.
Are we picking all the teams in the West?
No, we'll just keep it to.
Oh, we're not?
We'll go back to the NFC. We'll do one for the NFC West too, because we didn't really do that. But if you,
I'd rather do a Chiefs jersey. I don't want to wear a Broncos jersey. If I had to, it would be a Dawkins Broncos jersey. Period. End of story. You
any
know,
player,
Good choice.
Dawkins played for the.
Oh,
You know,
Dawkins.
he finished his career with the Broncos. But if I had to take a Chiefs jersey, it would be Derek Thomas, without a doubt. That's one player I wish that could have played for the Eagles. I think he was a force and a stud on Kansas City for 10 years.
Kansas City's been one of those teams where they've always but they always managed to have amazing running backs. They had Priest Holmes for a minute when he was lighting it up. Yeah, let's kick it back over to the NFC West real quick. So again, Atticus, same question. You had to buy a jersey. Let's go present player. Like a present player, you decided, you know what, tired of rooting for Danny Dimes. Dave Gettleman doesn't know what he's doing. You finally come to your senses on that. You say, I'm going to pull for whatever team in the NFC West. Which team you pulling for and what jersey you getting?
NFC West, which team? I would probably present player.
Present player, yeah. Well, we can do one present and one all time. We'll do that. That's fine. It's not like we're time restrained.
Stafford and the Rams. Warner and the Rams.
Okay. All right. Loy?
Rams or Seahawks?
Any team in the West, whichever team you want, you would pull for, and whose jerseys you would get.
Well, I've already mentioned Derek Thomas, linebacker, Kansas City. So that's one. Present day?
AFC, though.
Oh, yeah, NFC. My bad. I'm going to go with I'd wear a Lynch jersey just because he was fucking beast mode. And I would take
That's a good pick, actually.
I would go with damn it, I can't even think of his name. Aaron Donald. Well,
Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with University of Phoenix's own Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, nice.
And and then just sticking with the Cardinals just to play devil's advocate, I too am going to go with Kurt Warner. So because who doesn't love a good supermarket to Super Bowl?
That Super Bowl was
right?
amazing, wasn't it? When
Right,
he
yeah.
to the Cardinals. Oh my God.
Yeah, no. I Larry Fitzgerald, he's one of those guys that I think no matter where you are, you wish he was on your team. Like that kind of player. So
yeah.
Did we say what we think final rankings for the AFC West are? I know we kind of talked about it. Like I think we're all in agreement. Chiefs are tops. Chiefs are tops. It comes down to, do you think the Raiders or the Chargers have a better 2021?
You got to go with the Raiders, only because you got a new coaching system coming in with the Chargers. You just don't know. You don't have anything to work with.
Right, and Herbert could always take us. The sophomore slump is real. So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, I think I'm in agreement. Chiefs, Raiders. So basically, what they did this year: Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. I think would be, yeah. Do we think two teams get in? Do you think the Raiders can grab a wild card next year?
Well,
I think they can.
They could, yeah.
I think the AFC is still a dogfight, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I think next year, like I've said it a couple other things in relation to Wentz getting traded to the Colts and stuff like that. I think next year in the AFC, you're going to see again like a couple 10-6 or a 10-6 and an 11-5 team that doesn't make it, just because of the way it shakes out. Because this year, the Dolphins finished 10-6, right, and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see that again. You're going to see another 10-6, possibly an 11-5 team that just doesn't get in for whatever reason, because they lost to they lost to some team in week 2, and that's the tiebreaker. So
Some team.
yeah, the Browns are winning their division.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
the Browns are making it in.
He loves his subs, doesn't he, Loy?
And it is it's amazing that one decent year in the last 2 decades, one creates this
Hey,
out of a
that's
fan
you got to
base.
roll with it though. You got to roll. What else am I gonna do? Be like, yeah, like no. I finally get to talk like the Browns are gonna do something, and you guys have to agree with it. So we're going that route. By the way, do you guys hear? JJ Watt's been speculating in real estate in
Did he
Strongsville?
make the purchase, or is that just like red meat for the media?
It's just red meat for the media. But I will say, no one looks into a vacation home in Strongsville, Ohio. You're not looking for like investment property, like return on investment in Strongsville, Ohio.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a strong possibility that Watt ends up in Cleveland, which would be crazy because he's playing his brothers twice a year.
which is why I think he does it. That's why you do it, right? Like if if it was the other way around and the Steelers are really good right now, then he goes to the Steelers. Like there's not even a second thought, right? But barring that, like I've said, I don't think he wants to go to a rebuild. So you go where you play your brothers twice a year, and then
All right. So what are you going to give him? What are you willing to give up for?
You don't have to give up anything. He's free agent.
He's a free agent.
Yeah, free agent.
Oh,
Before when he was still on the Texans, I said Njoku in a third. But now that he's not 2 years, 20 million. Tell me, I paid $10 million a year for Watt to put him in on second and third down, and then you draft another young defensive end with your first round pick, and just go for the best. And then according to different writers I've seen around Cleveland, we trade Baker Mayfield for Roquan Smith, and hey, we got ourselves a defense. So just kidding, I don't want to see that happen. But yeah, no, I think, and again, I get I'm the Browns fan and blah 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 in 1 year and whatever, but it makes sense to get like, because here's the thing too, if Watt, like, as much as we want to say it's Baker's team or Landry's team or Stefanski's team or Chubb's team, if Watt comes to Cleveland and we just accidentally somehow even make it to the Super Bowl next year or in 20 whatever, Watt's never gonna have to buy a drink in Cleveland again. Like they'll name a street after him. Like we will drive to Cleveland, First Energy Stadium off of Watt Avenue, which fits. So driving down Watt Avenue to First Energy Stadium, I like it. It's got a nice
it does.
to it. So
I just want to make an observation here that we all agreed to talk about the AFC and the NFC Wests. And like the only team that we've consistently talked about outside of that is the Cleveland Browns. Like you don't hear us talking about the NFC
about
East.
damn time. It is about damn time.
He draws these lines between the Browns and every team in every segment.
Well, I mean, every Super Bowl's got at least 3 ex-Browns on one of the starting rosters. So that's just the way it is. You can't get away from it. People come to Trent Cleveland, learn how to play football, and then they go win Super Bowls elsewhere.
Yeah, it's about right. Checks out.
I mean, I don't want to draw too many parallels, but I will say the reason why the Falcons gave up or lost, the 28-3 lead was because half their starting offensive line and 2 of their receivers were former Cleveland Browns. So yeah, that's how that happened.
All makes sense.
Yeah, it all comes together. So what divisions do we want to talk about next week?
Let's
North? Huh?
Let's go south.
Let's go the opposite direction. So AFC South and NFC South. Man, I'd have to, off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you. AFC South is who? That's Colts,
Jaguars.
Yeah, Jaguars, Texans, and who's the other AFC South team?
Colts, Jaguars, Texans, and
Titans. There we go, Titans.
Titans.
Yeah. And then NFC South is the Super Bowl champions.
The Saints,
the
Panthers, Falcons.
Saints, Panthers, Falcons. All right.
Let's get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, because we know that we're going to talk heavy on AFC North, and we know that we're going to talk heavy on NFC East.
Hey,
So those two should definitely come after we talk about everybody else.
Can we get
talk
Chad
about
here?
the
Can we talk
North
about the North?
in part every single week.
We've talked about the East every week too. Don't act like we haven't. Don't
We
act
didn't
like
this week. We didn't this week.
Hey, wait, we talked about the Eagles. We've talked about them 2 or 3 times. We've talked about the Knicks as much as we've talked about the Browns.
When did we talk about the Eagles?
Wentz's name has been brought up.
He's a Colt. He's a Colt now. So we were talking about the Colts.
Oh, okay. Technically, you mentioned Howie a couple times.
I mentioned Howie once.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? The Eagles are going to finish 4th in the East next year. There, I said it. Fletcher Cox is going to be a Brown. How do you feel about that? Anyway.
Oof. I might be a Browns fan next year if that's the case.
Hey, I will. You know what? I will gladly buy you a Fletcher Cox jersey. We will make that happen, Michael Loy. You want do you want the color rush or do you want the white? I prefer the white, but it's easier.
I prefer the white because I don't like I just get super hot in the color rush jerseys.
I mean, that'll happen.
You really want Fletcher Cox in Cleveland?
Yeah, I want at this point, we have a young team. So if we're gonna go after some people in free agency, I want some vets who have been in the Super Bowl or at least made deep pushes in the playoffs. Cox, with the exception of this year, Cox has been in a Super Bowl and they made a run last year. We need a little bit more of that on the Browns. We need that maturity. So
you want him there to do what, maybe 15 snaps a game, help mentor your young players.
Yeah.
Maybe provide some
voice in the locker room. We need that. We need a voice in the locker room. Like I think Baker's taken steps forward as far as not speaking out, but we need that veteran presence that's been there. We don't have that right now.
Cox isn't going anywhere. Number one.
What do you say? Yeah, he
Cox
is.
isn't going anywhere.
He's going to be a cap casualty. You watch.
He's still only 30 years old. If they're going to get rid of anybody, it's going to be Brandon Graham. He's a little bit older. And they have more depth at defensive end.
What size Browns jersey do you want me to buy you when I'm buying you that Fletcher Cox Browns jersey? What size?
At least 2X.
Probably 3. Mike, Roseman is tearing down the building right now, right?
Which is stupid, if you ask. And we weren't even. I didn't even want to get into the Eagles this week, man.
I just want to say one thing. Howie Roseman right now is he knows he has an aging team and he's trying to get what he can from these guys right now.
Which is why Fletcher Cox
you're going into a rebuild. Would you rather keep Cox or knowing you ain't going nowhere for a couple of years or get value for him now?
I would get value for him now, but I'm going to say this about a rebuild. Right. So, what was the Eagles' biggest problem last season?
Jersey now, because Groman called it, and I think he's right.
What was the Eagles' biggest problem this year?
You're lying.
Okay, so you have 6 guys coming back off of injuries, 3 of them starters on the offensive line. Are you really in a rebuild? You know what I mean? Like when you have Johnson, Dillard, and Brandon Brooks coming back to play offensive line, are you really in a rebuild?
I mean, point, Lloyd, but counterpoint, who's your starting quarterback?
Jalen Hurts.
You're in a rebuild. You're in a rebuild. Sorry about it.
Right now.
Not if you think he can do what he's projected to do. Like I'm not a Hurts believer, right? But I did look at some of his college stats. When he went to Oklahoma and had to throw the ball, like he was pretty fucking good. Right.
Well, when he's playing Oklahoma State's secondary in the NFL.
I'm saying you sound like 2018 Atticus right now, bro. Give it up.
Well, no, actually, I sound like Gase is a really good fucking head coach. I sound like I sound like Gorky when he talked about the Jets and tried to sell us all.
Gorky. He's got a young kid. He's not
trying to sell us all that Adam Gase was a good fucking football coach.
Oh my God. He tried to
Ooh.
before that.
I like
was
spicy
Darnold.
Loy. I like this. We've been missing this. I like spicy Loy.
Oh
You
man,
need to get Gorky on because he'll deny that shit. He'll fucking say, "I never said that." Yeah, you fucking did. You tried to sell us all that
little
case.
habanero Loy going on over here. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So 2XL on that Fletcher. I right here. I'm saying it. Put it down. When he ends up a Brown, I will gladly buy you a 2X Fletcher Cox Brown jersey in white. That's
All
where
right.
we're going. That's where
All
we're going.
right.
It's happening. We can actually we can meet up in Brera and get his signature. We can go to the spring training.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You know, the NFL draft's in Cleveland this year. It's the one reason why I wish I stayed in Cleveland.
I'll be a fan with no team. If
You'll
for the
Fletcher.
next 3 years.
You'll just pull a Hazen and be whatever team Fletcher Cox is on. That's the team you'll pull for.
No, I'll be a quiet individual about the Philadelphia Eagles until Howie's gone.
Yeah, I still don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like not to pour salt on the wound, but we got the best GM out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Why you guys didn't keep him and fire Howie? I have no idea.
You talking about Dorsey?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
No. Who did we get last year? We got the assistant GM last year. Hold on.
Because the Jets got the best GM. The Jets got fucking what's his name?
Andrew Berry.
Who did the Jets get?
No, we got Andrew Berry.
I know you did. Joe Douglas was better than that, though. Joe Douglas was the best Eagles GM. And Howie's still there.
Just a side thing, it sucks that Gorky's not here, but now that I just Googled Joe Douglas, quote, Sam Darnold is our QB of the future. Oh, never mind. This is an old quote because goal is to get that fixed with Adam Gase. So never mind. JK. LOL.
That was at the start of last year.
Yeah.
Like we all tried to tell Gorky, Darnold was not the answer. Gase was not part of the solution.
Gase was not the answer. I'll give you that.
I'm not sold that Darnold's a bad quarterback yet, man. Like
I ain't saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm saying he was not the answer. No. The problems in New York ran much deeper than just the quarterback position. And here we are. Said it 2 years ago. I'm still saying it now.
And now the Eagles are the Jets.
Well, I think
we may not go over.
Jalen Hurts is pretty good. I mean, he's not as bad as I don't think he gives you enough reasons to be like, oh, we're fucked. You know, he got some NFL experience under his belt. He didn't look bad. He knows how to get out of trouble. He knows how to call audibles when he needs to. He'll be okay. I mean, the Eagles are going to assume their place in the basement where they should have been any fucking way, but it won't be his fault. It'll be a whole lot of other pieces.
Yeah, and we got 10 years of fucking Giants crap to fucking clean up down there, too.
Well, you guys have owned us for a long time, but that shit's turning right now. But we can talk about the NFC East in 2 weeks. Next week, we're talking about this. Wait a minute. Next week, we're talking about the South, right?
South next week.
So we got 2 weeks or 3 weeks to talk about the East. And I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So real quick though, since we're on it, if I'm being dead honest right now, just based off of injuries and everything else and trades and whatnot, as much as I hate to admit it, Daniel Dimes might be the best quarterback in the East right now, depending on how Dak plays out after his injury. Just something to think about.
Dak Prescott's pretty good.
Oh, he's good. Don't get like pre-injury. Yeah, Dak Prescott was the best quarterback, but we don't know how he's gonna. We don't even know if Dallas is gonna keep him. So as of right now, like guaranteed, known, this is who's gonna start for our team. Yeah, Daniel Dimes is the best quarterback in the conference.
And if I'm being dead honest, this is no bullshit aside, right? Dimes has a lot of flaw. Well, maybe not a lot. That's a strong word. He's got some flaws that are detrimental to his overall game. You know, and if he doesn't fix those, he's going to be middle of the pack quarterback. But I would agree, he's probably the best quarterback right now. He's better than Hurts. He's better than, DiNuccio in Dallas. We'll see what happens with Dak coming back. Is he better than Dalton? Probably. And then what's Washington's
definitely.
quarterback? We don't know yet.
Yeah, what's going to happen in Washington?
If
Well,
they get-
that's another week. That's another segment.
That's 2 weeks from now. Lot of foreshadowing coming up for some episodes.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. So wait, when do I get to talk about? When do we have the Browns for you? When does that happen?
Well, it happens every week, so
Hey, are we gonna do a draft segment?
yes.
Who do we want?
How do we want to do? We'd have to decide. Like, this is probably an off-air conversation, but we'd have to decide how we want to do that. Do we just want to take a team, or do we just want to vote on who every team should pick? Like, and also, I just say right now, we just rule out trades. Like, I don't want to deal because in my opinion, most teams should trade back, but obviously, we're not going to like project trades and then make picks off of those trades. So,
Right. Okay.
Well, the draft isn't until April, so we could run through the divisions, and then we can just start doing draft shit until the draft.
Works for me.
I like it. So to our 2 fans that watch this podcast, hey, Dad.
Who's the second?
Well,
Some
actually,
random person every week.
Is it you? It's you, right?
yeah, I watch it. I watch it just so I can hear myself talk. No, it's where I go for Browns conversation for hot Browns takes. Actually, I'm sure
Andy listens.
I'm sure Mrs. Davis. Yeah, I was gonna say Mrs. Davis probably gives us a good 5-minute listen, right?
No, she don't give a
No,
shit.
she wants something.
No.
Let me hold on real quick.
Hey, I have a request. When we do eventually get to the AFC North, can we have Chad on here? Can we do that? Can we make that
Oh,
happen?
I'd love that.
I think we should.
Chad and I just argue meaningless things for an hour. Can we just do that?
That would be great. And Chad would offer a lot of good content too. Even though he's certainly biased, he does give good analysis, and he'll give good content, particularly on your division. So.
Oh yeah, if you ever want to do gambling, he's the man to go to, because whatever he picks, you just do the opposite, and you will clean up.
Yes, he will. Yeah.
So last week had 13 views on YouTube. Average length is 6 minutes.
I do know my dad. So, my dad says my dad told me that he just got a new Peloton exercise bike, and instead of paying for the subscription, he just puts us on and he watches us ramble on about sports. So that's good.
Our
So shout out
first
to him.
episode had 18 views and an average duration of 10 minutes.
I mean, hey, dude, we only need to get 30 more viewers and we can start monetizing this.
I know.
That's 4 cents worth of content right there. Well, I feel like we've really run the course this week.
We have.
Yeah. I got to make fun of the Eagles. I'm going to be buying Loy a Fletcher Cox jersey. I'm excited about this.
I'll wear it proudly anytime the Eagles aren't playing.
I like it. So if we're doing the podcast before the games, we can expect to see you rocking it.
Yeah.
I like where this is headed. All right, guys. I'll catch you next week.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Go Knicks. Go Knicks. Go.
You know I'm a Laker fan, Atticus, but I'm very quiet about it because I have this thing about LeBron, man. But it's a love-hate thing because I can't be mad because the Lakers are fucking good with him, right? But there's something about LeBron and I don't know. The whole Miami thing threw me off for LeBron.
Yeah, I went through it. I went through it as a Cavs fan. It's hard to watch greatness every night and wonder what you're doing with your life. I get it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Hey,
I have a LeBron James jersey
video
too.
last night, Loy.
What?
Did you like my video last night?
No, I couldn't stand it actually. But
hey, Groman, real quick before we sign off, I want to show you my wife's corner in the basement.
Oh, that's so gross.
I know you're not gonna like it.
That's so gross.
you should zoom in on that flag.
Listen, she forced me to build that shit for her. So you think it's gross?
Wait, pan back. Let me see the New York side real quick. That's actually pretty cool. Like I want to.
The
I
New
don't
York
get that.
side.
Yeah, let me see that real quick.
All right.
As for is that actually autographed or is that just a copy of his autograph?
No, this is all authentic. Look, we went to see him when he retired in New York.
Oh, I thought I saw that picture. I thought that was at one of those wax museums. My bad.
Well,
I thought it was the Make-A-Wish Foundation, man. And Atticus and Kelly were just reaching out to the kids.
of course he did. So the basement is, there's a lot going on here. So even though we've been in the basement, I've been pretty comfortable, Chris.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sweet. Like eventually if I ever get to have a house, I'm doing my I don't know if she'd be happy if I said my girlfriend. The girl I am talking to, we'll put it that way. She's a huge Packers fan and has a similar wall in her apartment. So
oh nice.
Yeah. So
Chris, if we wind up doing the fucking barbecue, you need to fly up here.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I'm gonna wear my the jersey you guys got me. I'm gonna wear that. So
that'd be perfect. How cool would that be, huh, Mike?
That would be super cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely game. I'll bring Liesel with me, the girl I'm talking to. She's a big Packers fan. She'd probably get a kick out of the whole thing. So I haven't decided if I'm going to invite her to the group yet because I don't know if I want to turn you goons loose on her. So scare her off. She might question me just based off of you guys. So but no, hey, let your wife know if you want to redecorate. I got a lovely shade of orange that we can paint over that yellow crap. We can make it real nice.
Yeah. Upgrade it.
Get that home value back up because right now, dude, like I come in there, I look at that and oof, yikes.
Yeah, I hear
100,000 off my offer up front.
All right, guys. Until next week.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Bye, gentlemen.